There are people who don't need to say much yet the moment they speak others immediately pay attention. It's not because they speak louder, nor because they use more sophisticated words, but because their responses are always on point, right in content, right in emotion, and right in timing. Meanwhile, many people who are intelligent, capable, and experienced still lose all their value the moment they step into a conversation simply because they ramble, hesitate, sound flat, or worse, go home afterward thinking, if only I had responded better in that moment. The truth is, a strong impression doesn't come from talking a lot. It comes from how well you control your words, your response timing, and your energy in a conversation. A sharp communicator isn't someone who wins with words. It's someone who knows exactly what to say at exactly the right moment. In this video, we'll go through 8 high-level communication habits that will help you respond more sharply, more confidently, and create a clear sense of attraction in the eyes of others. Stay until the end, because the later habits will help you elevate your communication to a whole new level. And whenever you notice yourself falling into one of these habits, pause for a few seconds and reflect on it right away. Habit 1. Listen for the intention, not just the words. One of the most common mistakes in communication is hearing a question and reacting immediately. But strong communicators do not respond only to the surface of what was said. They listen more deeply to understand what the other person actually wants, what they are worried about, what they expect, or even what they may be testing you on. For example, when someone asks, "How's work been going for you lately?" On the surface, it sounds like a casual question, but depending on the situation, it can carry many different meanings. Some people genuinely care. Some want to see whether you are making progress. Some are simply looking for a way to lead into another topic. If you cannot read the intention behind the question, it becomes very easy to answer in a way that is too long off track or completely out of sync with the moment. A sharp answer always begins with the ability to read the second layer of the conversation. A simple way to practice this is to ask yourself 3 things before you respond. What are they really asking this for? Do they need information, emotion, or reassurance? How much should I say for it to be enough? A small action you can take right now, starting today. In every important conversation, do not rush to answer in the very first second. Build the habit of pausing for one beat. Just one beat. That pause is where sharpness begins. Habit 2. Answer 20% shorter than your instinct. People who struggle with communication often think that saying more will make them clearer. The truth is the opposite. The less control you have, the more likely you are to say too much. And when you say too much, your message loses its impact. Those who leave a strong impression know how to compress their ideas. They don't ramble. They don't over-explain. They keep their responses tight enough that others feel this person knows exactly what they're talking about. For example, if someone asks, "What do you think about this project?" A less sharp response might be, "I think it's okay because if you look at it from this angle, but it also depends." A sharper response would be, "It's a solid idea, but the execution is too scattered." If you streamline it, it'll be much stronger. Fewer words, more impact. You don't need to be abrupt. You need to be concise. Concise doesn't mean shallow. It means removing the parts that dilute the strength of your main point. A practical exercise before you speak: push yourself to answer in 1 or 2 sentences first. If the other person wants more, they'll ask. Don't place your entire internal essay onto someone else. Try this within the next 24 hours in your next 3 conversations. Intentionally speak a bit shorter than usual, and observe whether people pay more attention to you. Habit 3. Don't go on the defensive too quickly. Many people hear feedback, a tough question, or even a slightly critical comment, and immediately jump into explaining, defending, or justifying themselves. Psychologically, this makes you appear less grounded. The quicker you defend, the more you put yourself in a weaker position. High-level communicators don't treat every question as an attack. They are calm enough to separate content from emotion. They listen, filter, and only then respond. For example, if someone says, "I think your presentation was a bit too long," a weaker reaction would be, "That's not really true because I had to cover everything and also the timing that day." A stronger response would be, "Yeah, I see your point. I probably need to tighten the opening so the later parts come through more clearly." A response like that shows you're not pulled into defensiveness. You're in control of the situation. Remember, explaining more doesn't make you more right. In many cases, the more you explain, the more others feel you lack composure. If you often get carried away by emotions during conversations, try this simple formula: acknowledge, filter, respond. For example, "I understand what you're saying. From that perspective, there is definitely something to improve. The part I'd still want to keep is, in the middle of this video, here's something important to remember if you truly want to upgrade your communication skills. Don't just listen and leave it at that. Pick 2 habits from this video that you feel weakest at, write them down on paper or in your phone, and start applying them today. And if you're aiming to become more confident, sharp, and influential, consider subscribing so you don't miss upcoming videos. Communication skills won't change your life overnight, but they can change how the world sees you after just a few conversations. Habit 4. Use structured responses. A compelling communicator doesn't always have better ideas than you. The difference is that they organize their thoughts better. With the same amount of information, someone with structure will come across as clearer, more logical, and far more trustworthy. Practice answering using a simple framework: conclusion first, reason next, direction last. For example, when asked, "Will you accept this collaboration?" an unstructured answer might be, "I'm still thinking about it because they seem okay, but I also have a few things going on." A structured answer would be, "For now, I won't be taking it. The reason is I don't have enough capacity to do it well at this time. If it's still relevant in 2 months, I'll revisit it." Feels very different, right? The other person doesn't have to guess what you mean. They receive a message that is clear, coherent, and mature. From now on, in important responses, start with your conclusion. Don't bury it at the end of a long, winding explanation. Strong communicators lead with the point. Habit 5. Know how to use silence as a power tool. Many people are afraid of silence. They think it means they're stuck, weak, or not smart enough. But in communication, the person who can control silence is often the one who controls the energy of the conversation. There are moments when you don't need to respond immediately. Sometimes a calm look, a brief pause, or a slight smile can be more powerful than a long explanation. For example, if someone makes a subtle jab, "Oh, look at you speaking so confidently now." If you react too quickly, you'll likely fall into an emotional trap. But if you pause for a second, look at them calmly, and say, "I think anyone can improve," the impact of your response becomes much stronger. A pause creates weight. People who lack confidence tend to use too many words to fill their anxiety. Those with presence are not afraid of stillness. A practical action when you're caught off guard or put on the spot: avoid filler words like or like. Instead, take a small breath, pause for a beat, then respond. You'll notice your answer feels much more composed and mature. Habit 6. Prioritize clarity over trying to please everyone. This is an extremely important habit if you want to communicate sharply. Many people give vague answers not because they don't know what to say, but because they are too afraid of upsetting others. As a result, everything they say becomes half-hearted, ambiguous, and hard to understand. And in the end, no one really knows what they actually want. Great communicators understand this. Being kind does not mean being unclear. You can be polite and still be direct. For example, instead of saying, "Let me think about it. It's kind of hard to say right now," you could say, "I'm not able to take this on right now. I want to let you know early so you can make other arrangements." Still polite, but you're not creating false hope or dragging things out. Clarity is a form of respect. Respect for other people's time. Respect for your own boundaries. Respect for the value of your own words. Remember this powerful idea: being vague to be liked often leads to being undervalued. Today, try saying one thing clearly that you would normally avoid. Habit 7. Respond from a place of value, not from a need for validation. This is what separates people with real presence from those who constantly seek attention through their words. When you respond from a place of wanting to prove yourself, to be recognized, or to be liked, your words tend to feel forced, showy, and unnatural. But when you speak from a place of value, you don't need to perform. You just need to show up as you are. For example, when asked, "What makes you stand out from others?" someone seeking validation might try to list as many achievements as possible. Someone grounded in their value would say, "My strength is turning complex things into something easy to execute." I think that's something every team needs. Calm, concise, focused, not flashy but memorable. To do this, you need to stop asking yourself, "What should I say so they'll like me?" and replace it with, "What value does what I'm about to say bring to them?" When your mindset shifts, your energy shifts. And when your energy shifts, the way others perceive you changes too. Habit 8. Always end your response with a strong anchor. Many people finish speaking and their message just fades away. There's no closing point, no takeaway, nothing that sticks. In contrast, strong communicators know how to end with a short but solid idea, something that lingers in the listener's mind. For example, "This is difficult but completely doable if we follow the right order." Or, "I don't choose the fastest way, I choose the most sustainable one." Or, "The goal isn't to talk more, it's to be worth listening to." These are closing lines. They act like a stamp on your response. Train yourself so that whenever you express an opinion, you don't end with weak tales like, "Maybe I'm not sure," or "That's just what I think." These phrases drain all the impact from what you just said. Instead, finish with a clear statement, a position, a sentence with backbone. A small exercise for you today: try creating 3 personal closing lines that reflect how you think, work, and live. Because people who leave a mark in communication always have phrases others remember them by. Finally, what makes someone a sharp communicator isn't how many speaking tricks they've learned. It's whether they've built enough inner strength so that their words are no longer just emotional reactions, but tools to express their thinking, values, and character. If you pay attention, you'll notice that the people who leave the strongest impression aren't always the most talkative. They don't need to dominate the conversation. They don't try to win every exchange. They simply show up with clarity, calmness, and substance, and that's what makes them stand out. High-level communication has never been about noise. It's the art of precision. If today you realize that you often respond too long, too quickly, too defensively, or too vaguely, don't judge yourself. See it as good news. Because once you can recognize your communication weaknesses, you've already begun to improve them. And often just fixing a few small habits can quickly change how others perceive you, not in years, but sometimes in just days. Now don't just close this video and let everything fade away. Do these 3 things right now. First, comment below the habit you feel you need to fix the most. Second, choose one habit from this video and apply it today. Third, save this video to revisit before important conversations, interviews, meetings, partner discussions, or any situation where you want to show up as a better version of yourself. And if you're serious about building the image of someone who communicates with depth, presence, and influence, hit subscribe now. In the next video, we'll dive into a crucial topic: 7 types of phrases that make others instantly look down on you, even if you're highly capable. It will help you spot the subtle communication mistakes that quietly damage your image every day. Don't wait until you've spoken poorly to learn how to speak well. Don't wait until you've lost an opportunity to regret a weak response. A sharper version of you doesn't appear by luck. It's built through consciously refining each sentence, each response, each small habit. And sometimes just by saying things a little differently, life begins to respond to you in a very different way.